Hi everyone, it's Pippa from the ADD-vantage, Specialist Support Services for Women and Girls with ADHD. Today's topic is long-term relationships, the cohabiting or marrying kind. As we know, many marriages do end in divorce, and no doubt at the end of this year there will be a spike. For relationships to stand the test of time, it is hard work, frankly. Both parties have to commit to the effort and choosing really every day to stay together. These relationships don't run automatically. There is effort required on both sides. Now, if you have ADHD, you are more likely to experience relationship breakdown than typical people. So it's important that you realise why that is and what you might do to protect your relationship going forward. So first of all, I'm talking to you as a woman with ADHD. You have the symptoms. So how might your symptoms affect the relationship? Just thinking about inattention for a minute, our tendency to zone in and zone out, we can miss important information. We might have to ask our partner to repeat stuff to us, which could come off a bit like careless, and like if we were really loving them, surely we'd be listening to every single word they were saying. It can be a source of frustration. Also, if we have ADHD, we are likely to be impulsive, say impulsive things which could be unkind, hurtful, rude, engage in risky impulsive behaviours that could put our relationship at risk as well. We are likely to be experiencing executive dysfunction. We're going to struggle with all manner of organisational skills, with forgetting things, with procrastinating, not able to get the things that we committed to done, which could come off again as we just don't care enough to do them. If we cared enough, they'd get done, kind of thing. So I think living with a person with ADHD is probably tricky for the other partner. So I think the first thing we could do is ask them how it is. Ask them how it is from their perspective to live with us. So first of all, ask them, and secondly, listen. Listen to what they say to you without interrupting. There's a challenge, asking 500 questions. Ask, listen, and then I would repeat back to them what you've understood to check that you've got it right. I need to do that to kind of consolidate it in my head, and also make sure that I haven't latched onto one tiny bit and missed the bigger picture. Now, if you're the one with symptoms, really it's on you to consider how you're treating your symptoms. Maybe you're exploring medication, and maybe you're getting the results you want from that. If not, and as well as, in fact, do consider the impact of regular exercise, of effective nutrition, of good sleep hygiene, of mindfulness and meditation, of being out in nature. All of those things there's plenty of scientific evidence behind the fact that those things can really help our symptoms. And if our symptoms are ours, they are our responsibility to work on. It cannot be that they are the excuse for why it's all going wrong all of the time. I can't help it, I've got ADHD. Well, consider what you can help and consider what you can do to be the best version of yourself is what I would say. Now, given that we probably are pretty tricky to live with, I would say, make sure you show your appreciation to your partner, that they know how much how sort of grateful you are to be sharing your life with them. Don't be shy with your affection, with your praise and just show them how grateful you are that they have chosen you, and how happy that makes you. Because if we don't show that, they might end up thinking, well, really, why am I doing this? Why would I put myself here with this person? So another thing that I'm afraid I slip into sometimes is this horrible thought in my head, well, if he really loved me, he would, and fill in the blank, buy me a birthday card, take me out for dinner, phone me, email me, whatever it is, if he but the fact is, I haven't actually said to him, oh, by the way, it's really important to me that you, blah, blah, and if you don't, I feel XY. So I think the thing is, if I haven't said that to him, then I really shouldn't sit back and make assumptions about what it means when it doesn't happen. There is only misery in that horrible cycle, so try and avoid that. I would also say that humour is a great tonic. I'm very fortunate to spend my life with somebody who makes me laugh, and we've managed 22 years thus far, but we eventually find that we can laugh about the miscommunication and the upsets that ADHD might bring us along the way. So I think being able to laugh at yourself and being able to laugh with your partner is, like I say, a great tonic. I think one of the reasons that I have made it as far as I have in my relationship is that we have worked effectively as a team. We complement each other. Now, it is my opinion, although I have no medical training, that he has ADHD too. But he is, I don't know, in denial, untreated, just, doing his thing. So we, he is male and I am female, so we obviously experience it quite differently, but I do think that we do balance each other really well. He has great strengths, as do I, and they're not the same strengths, but I think that we, because of that, we are a good partnership. I think if there are things that neither one of us can do, if there are things that my brain won't let me do, it is beyond ridiculous for me to try and do those things. I just need to accept that that's not for me, and I'm going to get my partner to do that. Or if he can't do it, I'm going to pay someone to do it for me. And I'm not going to stress about the fact that I can't do it, because I know that I cannot be all things to all people all of the time. I'm going to play to my strengths. So I think being a team like that and working out, where your strengths lie and allowing each person to play to those would be a good way forward. I worked with a lady once that said, Pippa, if you're not it, you marry it or employ it. And I do think that's been a kind of helpful little mantra for me. I've just said to you that the man I'm married to, I'm pretty sure has ADHD. And when I learnt how heritable ADHD was after our son was diagnosed, I was like, well, obviously he gets it from him, right? I didn't know I had ADHD at the time. I was a teacher, a professional person, and in my ignorance, I thought, gosh, as if professional people have ADHD kind of thing. But a few years after that, I did a computer software test which highlighted how symptomatic I am compared to women of my age, and long story short, I ended up in front of a psychiatrist. So I'm living in a relationship with someone else that has ADHD, although, like I say, he's undiagnosed, in slight denial. And it is my anecdotal experience that this happens. We are drawn to each other. I don't know if this is a kind of primal thing that pulls us together so we have more ADHD babies, is that the point? I don't know. But anyway, the reason I mention it is because it might appear like you are the one with ADHD and he definitely doesn't have it. Or your partner definitely doesn't have it, that it's definitely you and not them. It might appear that way, and it might be that way, absolutely might be that way, but it also could be that actually they're undiagnosed, unsupported, and they are living with all those things you were living with before you knew. So they could be struggling with feelings of being overwhelmed, that the demands of life are really too much for them, but they're trying to sort of hide that and mask it. They might be feeling shame because they might be comparing themselves to their peers, and that they feel that they don't come up very well when they do that. They might be remembering that they failed at relationships previously, and so it's bound to happen again, so maybe they're not even going to try. They could be longing for someone to explain their difference because they know they're different, but they don't understand why. They could be longing for that because it does tend to be, if you are different, you kind of know it about yourself, but maybe they don't realise what their difference is. So I just put it out there as a possibility that you might need to be aware of this in your relationship and take some care in supporting and find their way to an understanding and maybe a diagnosis. So anyway, I hope this has been useful, and I'll see you again soon.